Monkey see, monkey kill. That's your motivations for the next scenes. You're killing to entertain, so take your time and play to the camera.
Welcome back to Let's Play Manhunt. Here in the cell blocks, we're going to play a fun little murder game show with the Smileys. Looks like they've already started. Contrary to what the director just said, we can't actually take our time. He's as impatient as ever, and I actually really want to get my hands on that hammer. And use it to perform a violent and gruesome execution, the two highest levels. Here comes the other required ingredient for that. And these cell blocks happen to be hollowed out in just a perfect way for stalking around, getting a vantage point on these guys. And here they come now.
Shut up! Shut up!
Trying to get their attention quickly, because this can go very slowly if you let it. I'm actually going to try and intentionally get spotted by exactly one of them. And that worked out. This could be a good way to isolate at least one of them from the group, although once you've been spotted they kind of swirl around erratically. You never know quite what you're going to get, but it kind of worked out.
I can see him. He's losing all his petals.
The one furthest from us has ran way off from the pack. And since these fellas aren't going to put out, might as well go after that other guy. We've got just the access route to do so.
I'm at the end of my tether, Barry. I really am.
Knowing the layout here goes a long way towards speeding it up.
I know where you've been, Barry. I know you've been at that bitch's house again.
And we're breaking in the hammer nicely. Bodies are a very big deal in this area. Smileys who've seen evidence of your handiwork will be freaked out for quite some time. You lose control of the situation, and you don't want that. Sound cues can be very effective. They almost always only draw a single guy.
Only $2.99. Only $2.99.
However, movement speed is pretty much universal whether they are investigating a sound or just randomly patrolling. So if you send them in the same direction as someone who's already going that way, they're going to stay in step. But if you send them back the other way... you get results. And now for part 2 of our little game. I'm already fucking it up. But we need to get this bat away from this guy. He's clearly not on board with the idea. And respawns are coming in from the origin point. We earned his compliance pretty quickly, though, before it became an emergency. Now, enemies will keep filing in and so that there's always 3 on the floor. 3 is sort of the magic number. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to hide our bodies, so they're going to find one of them to be not to their liking soon enough.
Perfect.
And now the trouble begins. It is important to note that they are all unarmed, so you can take quite a beating from them if you do get caught. You get a lot of chances to try again, since they do such little damage and there's health pickups everywhere. It's worth it to take the occasional risk if it might save you some time. Fortunately, this guy's coming back around, so... Oh, that was dubious hit detection.
You can't run out on them!
So we're off running.
You know it's wrong.
Once I make it around this corner, I should be good. But there's no shadow. Hadn't anticipated that. Yep, unfortunately this block is almost completely without shadow on this side. So we're gonna have to beat our way out, find a more shady place to hide. This should do. Now, there's been some talk about how the AI of each gang should be more unique, and I agree. It would be nice if the Smileys were off randomly investigating things that never actually happened because they're deranged. Really, though, what you see a lot of is their paranoia. They get on your case like nobody's business. Nobody is more tenacious than a Smiley. And once they're alerted, they stay in high alert for an exceedingly long time.
Kids, come out.
Makes it difficult to do things like that. They also almost never investigate into shadows. There's usually hardly any way to get them into shadows on their own. But with some patience and some luck, that was close.
Jesus, Cash, you're chewing through these guys like you were popping bubble wrap. Head over to the end of the cell block. I got a surprise for you.
There we go, we achieved victory pretty handily. It's hard to make it go any smoother than that with the way the Smileys work. I assure you, when you're actually playing, they do feel a lot differently from the other gangs. And the Innocents have their own individual AIs, 3 different levels of aggression. It feels different throughout. That was the last of the unarmed group. When you enter the next area, you can sometimes hit the save point and then reload. That'll despawn that guy. It's a good idea for the 5-star run, but it's not really a viable strategy elsewhere. Wanted to top off the health before I moved on, because this next area is difficult.
Fog's gonna finish this.
Get your funky ass along the walkway and head into the shower block.
Oh, I wanna touch him.
Right now we have a choice to make. Gonna go after the guy with the gun, because we can't get them both right now.
So you're not resting on your laurels, but I haven't got stiff for a while, so step it up a little.
Virtually impossible to kill any faster than that, but whatever. We needed that gun, but it has given the other guy a chance to take up a better position than he would have otherwise had.
Fog gonna tear the place apart. Fog coming.
We actually got spotted by someone from the top floor.
Again, you chump!
That was my fault, though.
Pull out.
So that kind of worked one time, but it's not going to work again.
There goes Shitty Man.
Yeah, Fug's not going to make the same mistake twice.
2, 3, 4, kata, or.
And gunshots will be raining down the entire time.
Scared to Fog.
Yes, this has gone rather sour. This is a good hiding spot.
Red.
And it's safe from gunfire.
Pulling out all of your shit and changing the locks.
We did get spotted from making all the noise there. But it's alright. And we could return fire to the guys on the second floor. This is a bad idea, though, because you'll run out of ammo, and the guns that they drop will despawn by the time you get there. You'll have no ammo to complete the level with, and that makes the level actually impossible after a certain point.
I dumped your liquor.
Sometimes the Smileys on the second floor will come down and allow you to execute them. Sometimes they will not. Just gonna have to play the hand we've been dealt.
If you don't want to play anymore, I can just tell them where you are.
Barry!
Strange quirk of that hunter's vision caused him to not see us as we approached. Second hunter will not go down the stairs either. It's as though they're blocked off, but I can usually lure at least a few down here.
I can't really blame her, but you...
Peekaboo! I see you!
So if they're not going to come down where we want them, we're going to have to go to them, unfortunately. Make the most of it, get all the ammo we can, and all the health.
Slash 'em, blast 'em. You can do it all, kid.
And it's a cover shooter again.
This is... Oh, witch's head!
You can usually pick them off one at a time, which is nice if you want to get headshots. But at around this point, the cover proves to be rather insufficient. You can see that the angles of our cover really do not provide all the cover we need.
This is the best kind of therapy money can buy.
The director makes a good point there. Feels kind of bad shooting these people when they are clearly so thoroughly out of their minds and being manipulated into doing this in the first place. It's a moral dilemma, of which we are not going to solve. We're just going to keep killing. Because what choice do we have? It's kill or be killed.
Stop it, I'll scream and the neighbors will come running!
We're very lucky to not have been blasted 2 or 3 times by that guy off to the side while we were firing on the guy in front of us. This can go much worse than it already has. Seemingly at random. Can also sort of take odds on whether they'll hit you or not from the distance that they're at. Go for headshots. And that part's scripted so that you can get a nice easy headshot.
You just inspired.
That guy there was the last one you can hit from the ground floor. The next few are required to come up and get them, and if you don't have the ammo for it, they will just destroy you, because they have shotguns. They also will not leave their cover under any circumstance.
What are you gonna do? Run?
And they fired a lot more than 2 shots before reloading. Their packing is a lot better than the sawed-off shotgun we've seen so many times. If you get anywhere near where they are, they will just destroy you.
I believe you've met everyone!
This cover is outside of range from where he is. But he's the last guy standing. So you can alternately interrupt his shots by firing on him. And as you can see, not the sawed-off at all. Single barrel beast with a whole lot of shots in it. Let's see, 68,730 weeks left to go. Oh, and he's having a great time. Turns out he didn't like the outside anyway. This glitchy texture is threatening to cut our throat. He's perhaps not quite as satisfied with his situation at the moment. Don't think we have to worry about him anymore, though. Oh, and someone is planning to watch us die over and over again. Interesting. I like that the Smiley's motto is sort of, please stop me. It again makes their presence very disturbing and deranged.
Okay, Cash, you performed brilliantly. Don't worry, I've got plenty more Wonderland fun lined up for you.
So that was a pretty neat little scene. I extremely like the beginning part, wherein they have you perform specific executions, and I wish they would have done that more throughout the game, honestly. Sort of a clever way to implement the execution gimmick, and that's the last we're going to see of it, but it was fun while it lasted. It can be very difficult and occasionally very frustrating if you really can't master that AI manipulation. The Smileys do not like to play along with that little situation there, but you can force it upon them. The shooting part, much less fun, very, very difficult, extremely easy to die, and with the way gunfire has been soured to many players' tastes, sort of not the best place to put it, but it goes by fast enough. Although it can be a bit of a roadblock, it certainly was for me the first time through. But we're through it anyway, and it looks like we've got a lot more of the Smileys ahead of us. So at this point, we've gotten to know the Smileys pretty well. We can see why many people consider them their favorite gang, but there's one group that hates the Smileys. Their rival gang, the Clowns. The Smileys were once a part of the Clowns, but like I've said, Smileys are a bit hard to control and were thrown out of the gang for gross disobedience. This turns out to be good for them, as the Clowns were cut from the game and appear only in the unlockable concept art. I suspect the concept of large, deranged hunters cackling and hurling threats served as the basis for the doll-faced innocents, but that's pure speculation. We do know, however, that, like the Smileys, the Clowns had themselves a leader, a man named James W. Gacy. This is again a very overt reference to a real serial killer, the notorious John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown, for playing a party clown named Pogo at many public functions between his murders. One of the gang members in the concept art even bears Pogo's iconic visage, including the sharp points of the sides of the painted-on mouth, which is considered a faux pas in clowning, as it gives the grin a sinister appearance. As for the man beneath the makeup, Gacy was a respected businessman in the suburbs outside of Chicago. His first kill was in 1972, but he claimed the majority of his victims after his divorce in 1976. By the time he was caught in 78, at least 33 young men had been killed and buried somewhere in his residential home. During this period, he was investigated many times by the police for having ties to youths that had gone missing or had accused him of attacking them, but it wasn't until some of his victims' bodies were discovered after he dumped them into a nearby river that Gacy was officially arrested for murder. He took up painting during the ensuing 14 years on death row, creating many images of good old Pogo the Clown, which Manhunt gives a sly nod to by making its Gacy the head of Carcer's art galleries and museums. This idea ends up being used in Rockstar's adaptation of The Warriors, where you fight a gang of mimes led by a clown who looks an awful lot like Gacy himself, and who ultimately gets defeated in his own art gallery. In some ways, it's a shame that the Clowns never made it into Manhunt, as it would have been truly horrific to have any of these faces bearing down on you. But they opted for more original ideas, since clowns are done to death in horror, thanks in no small part to Mr. John Wayne Gacy.